6 weeks ago.
But I do want to make some decent power, and I want to do so as reliably as possible. Kind of tough to use reliably and N54 in the same sentence, but you guys get the idea. So I'm inviting N54s into my life. I'm inviting all the problems that come along with them, but I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, listen, we fucked up.
Well, shit. Exhaust Vanos mechanism. Car's running like ass. Something just happened. First N54 problem. Here we go. Only had the car on for a couple days. Let's see. Let's shut her down. Damn, dude. Can't believe that. Those are all normal, but the exhaust Vanos isn't. Good morning, family. What is happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. It is a new day and we are faced with our first N54 problem. Kind of get the feeling like this might be the first of many, but hey, as you guys know, this car was completely in shambles. We reassembled everything. We did some refreshing. However, the Vanos solenoids are a rather expensive thing to replace, so we just reused some off of another motor that we had laying around the shop. Probably had over like 100,000 miles on them, but nonetheless, this is a very common issue. After doing a bunch of research, that I'm finding out the Vanos solenoids can just get gunked up over time, especially with higher mileage, and in some cases can just straight up fail and they need to be replaced. So this car only has about 100 miles on it so far after the refresh and the brand new clutch. I really haven't even gotten into boost yet. I've just been cruising around and breaking in that new clutch. And over the past 4 days, the car has run beautifully. Haven't had any issues until yesterday. I was on my way to get coffee. You guys saw the beginning footage. Was coming back home to make a video on the steering wheel, and out of nowhere, the car goes into limp mode, starts running horribly, and that was the footage that you guys saw in the beginning. So immediately I pulled over, checked the codes. These are the codes that were thrown up, and after doing a lot of research yesterday, I came to the conclusion that it's more than likely the Vanos solenoid. So first off, you guys will see that the code that mine is throwing up is on the exhaust side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull out both Vanos solenoids before we just go ahead and buy new ones, because they are rather expensive. They're like $150 a pop. They do also have like the aftermarket ones you can buy on Amazon for like $40 for the pair. Some people have had luck with those. Some people only stick with OEM. That's gonna be completely up to you guys. But nonetheless, before we go ahead and buy new ones, I wanna see if we can get rid of these codes and get the car to run good again. So the first thing I wanna do is pull out both of the Vanos solenoids, clean them up as best as possible. Then we're gonna flip them around. So the intake and exhaust, they are interchangeable. It's the exact same part number, exact same unit. We're gonna go ahead and flip those around and throw them back in and see which codes persist. If the car then throws a code for the Vanos solenoid on the intake side, then we know that it was that Vanos solenoid that it was in fact bad or has just failed on us. If it doesn't throw anything, then possibly they were just dirty and needed to be cleaned. And hopefully after all of this, the N54 in this 135 is running good again. Crossing my fingers, because I really don't want it to be anything major. So I've spent a lot of time talking to a bunch of different people yesterday. Huge thank you to everyone that I reached out to and helped out. But I'm like 95% positive that this is what the problem is. And this really isn't like a major problem, and it's pretty common. So you can just do this at home. I'm gonna try my best to show you guys how to do it. But after we do clean the Vanos solenoids and put them back in, if the problem completely goes away, I don't think that just cleaning them is like a permanent fix. I think it's probably wise to just go ahead and replace them with new solenoids. So that's likely what we will end up doing in addition to just cleaning them today and trying to diagnose the actual issue. 4 days in and the N54 is already showing me what it's all about, but I'm here for it. I do have to say, as much as things like this that happen are kind of annoying, it is nice to be able to learn, because honestly, I wouldn't have learned as much about these issues if the issue didn't happen. So I take this as like an educational experience, and hopefully I can share this knowledge with you guys today. Let's go ahead and pop open the engine bay. I'm gonna show you guys what we are taking out, how we're gonna clean it, and hopefully get this car running good again. All right, so to do this, we're just gonna use a little bit of brake cleaner. And if you guys have compressed air, that's definitely something that you would want to use in this situation. I do not have an air compressor here at the house, so I'm literally just gonna shake them out a little bit and see if we can get them to actually work again. I also see that some people, when they pull out the Vanos solenoids, they actually actuate them with I believe a 12 volt or a battery to get them to function and then also clean while they're functioning. But we are not gonna be doing that today. Like I said, I am going to be replacing these. In my opinion, I don't know that cleaning would be a permanent fix. I think it's more of just like a temporary fix. So we're just gonna see if we can get this bad girl to run again. Yesterday, when those errors popped up and I read the codes, I of course cleared them and made sure that that was in fact the issue, and they came right back. So I knew right away that that was the problem. But let me tell you, she was not happy. All right, guys, so we are in the engine bay, and here are your two Vanos solenoids. You got one up top and one up bottom. They have these little clips you just press in and then pull out, and you'll be able to unplug it. And then there's a 10 mil on each side, and you should be able to release the solenoid from the actual engine itself. We're gonna throw down a couple of towels under here to make sure we don't lose anything and that oil doesn't spill everywhere. So first we're gonna pull out the exhaust side. That is the lower one here. Next we'll go ahead and pull the intake side out. All right, guys, so here are the solenoids there out of the engine, and you want to make sure that the O-rings come along with these. These O-rings look okay, but it doesn't really matter. Like I said, we're going to be replacing all of this anyways. So the first thing that you'll visually notice is that one looks very different than the other one. And the interesting thing is I'm getting codes on the exhaust side, and this one looks like it's freaking new, and the intake side looks like it's been used a lot longer, but this is the one that's still functioning just fine. So who knows, maybe this one was already replaced, but there was an issue with it. I have no idea. We're gonna take off the O-rings, and then we're gonna go ahead and use a little bit of brake cleaner and clean these out, wipe them off with a towel, and then let them dry. Like I said, if you have a little air compressor, shoot some air in there. Make sure you wear some gloves when you do this. You don't want brake cleaner on your hands. And then we are going to flip them around. So if that code carries over to the intake side now, then we know that this guy is the culprit. But if it goes away, then it just needed a cleaning. However, I'm not very hopeful because I'm looking at this and it looks pretty clean. Like, we did just refresh this engine. We did take everything apart and clean it. It literally could just be a bad solenoid. So let's get to cleaning and then we'll throw it back in and hopefully we're all good. So these guys are ready to go back in. You're gonna wanna put a little bit of oil back onto the O-ring, just lubricate it a little bit with some oil before you throw it back in there. Remember, we're gonna be flipping these around now and see if that code carries over to the other side. Probably also a good idea to just check the connectors inside, make sure everything looks good. Make sure that the reason you're getting those codes isn't from like a bad connection, but everything looks good in these connectors. So let's go ahead and reinstall them. I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy now on the exhaust side and this on the intake side. All right, So then you just want to go ahead and clean up any oil that's down there to make sure that, you know, if you do have a new leak, that you can tell where it's coming from, which solenoid. Now, like I said before, it's probably a good idea to just replace the O-ring if you were going to keep these solenoids. But for right now, we are literally just diagnosing. I'm just trying to find out where it's coming from and why we're having this issue, but I will likely go ahead and just order 2 new solenoids or 1 new solenoid. And then when we do that, we'll also grab a couple of O-rings as well. So everything is fresh. So that is good for that. We're gonna leave the beauty cover off. We're gonna go ahead and turn the car on, clear out the existing codes, turn the car off, turn it back on, read codes, and hopefully that solved our issue. Or we will then see if that one solenoid is just a bad solenoid and it carries over to the intake side. Hello, old friend. We're back. All right. Let's see. Gonna have the existing codes. Go ahead and clear those. All right, codes are clear. Let's go ahead and kill it. Start it back up. We'll go ahead and read the codes. All right, variable camshaft timing control intake cold start. We know that that solenoid has been swapped over to the intake side and we're now getting intake issues. So it's gonna start running like shit. Yeah. Kill it. I don't want to cause any issues. I believe it is going to be our intake solenoid. Hopefully that's it. I mean, that's the only thing that we swapped over. First it was exhaust, now it's on intake side. All right, so we now know that we have a faulty Vanos solenoid. So I actually went ahead and just ordered 2 brand new Vanos solenoids from BMW. However, those won't be in for a couple of days. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run to the shop and they have an extra solenoid for me that I can try out just to make sure that this is in fact the issue. And I'll use that solenoid for now until my new ones come in so I can at least drive the car and continue braking in the clutch. So let me go grab that solenoid and then we'll continue this video. All right, just like that, we are back with 2 solenoids from the shop. Now these aren't new, they're used, but I wanted to grab these and hopefully one of these is good or both of them are good. I'm gonna swap out that intake solenoid and the hope is that that takes care of our issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these up real quick and then we're gonna pull back out that intake side, throw in this, and then we will see what happens. When we reassembled this engine, it actually did not have Vanos solenoids in it from the beginning. The previous company that pulled apart the motor ended up selling the solenoids, so we ended up using 2 spare solenoids that were laying around the shop. One of them just happened to be probably on its way out, and the reason it's so clean is it probably sat in an acid bath versus the other one that looks a little more worn. It seems to be the one that's okay. I had a feeling in my particular situation that just cleaning out the solenoids probably wouldn't solve the issue because we just refreshed everything in this car. So the shop actually cleaned the solenoids before putting them in, and once I pulled them out, they were super clean. So I knew that cleaning them probably wasn't going to do anything. So if you are having any sort of issues like this, you definitely want to check your Vanos solenoids, but also you'd want to check your Vanos filters. Again, mine were clean, so I'm not worried about that. Pretty much knew that wouldn't be the problem. But you know, if you're having issues at home on your N54 and you have over 100,000 miles, it could be either of these things. And it's probably a good idea to just go ahead and clean out the solenoids, see if that fixes it, clean out the filters, see if that fixes it, and possibly replace them. Nonetheless, let's swap in this new solenoid and hopefully it solves our issue. Right, new solenoid is in. It is time for the moment of truth. Let's hop in the car. Hopefully this thing runs good. All right, before we turn it on, we're gonna clear out these existing codes on the DME. Okay, no more codes. We'll actually go ahead and reset adaptations for Vanos. Okay, let's see what she does. TPMS is normal. Let's read those codes. Ambient air temperature issue is something I'm dealing with right now. I haven't found the plug for it. But you guys, we're good. That was the issue. The N54, guys, those Vano solenoids. Those turbos are loud. We're gonna check and make sure there's no oil leaks or anything. Hey babe, I hear you're running healthy again. I love to see it. This is very good. I do keep getting a coolant warning light that pops up every time I start the car or turn it off. However, the car has plenty of coolant in it. I think what it is we had to extend the coolant plug from the harness all the way around over here. And there might be some sort of issue with the plug or the wiring. However, I am doing the Turner Motorsports coolant relocator kit. So when we do that, along with some other things that I have coming, I'll go ahead and address it's either a sensor or the plug or the wiring. But she has plenty of coolant. I've been checking fluids and oil and everything daily because we are at the point of just breaking all of this stuff in. It's good to just keep an eye on that. All right, so there you guys go. If your car's running into solenoid issues or you get camshaft codes, you may want to check your Vano solenoids. Or if the car is just running rough, maybe clean the Vano solenoids. And if you want to spend the extra money, go ahead and buy some new ones. But I'm glad we were able to figure out what the issue was. And it's nothing major. It's just a stupid Vano solenoid. It's time for me to get back out in the street and break this clutch in. I've got about 100 miles on the clutch so far. I want to put like another 100, 150 on it before I start running into some data logs just to make sure that we're all good. But huge shout out to everyone that helped out. I reached out to a lot of people and just kind of picked their brains on this whole situation. And there were so many of you guys that were able to give me some valuable information about this. And I'm glad that we're learning. We're learning about the N54. This is my little N54 greeting card with a bad Vano solenoid. But we are back, baby. More content coming soon on the 135. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.